Welcome to the Hustle Class Podcast. We have a quick disclaimer. All material presented within Hustle Class LLC is not investment advice, but for educational purposes only. Trading involves risk, and you are solely responsible for your investment decisions and assume the entire risk of any trading you choose to undertake. Owners of Hustle Class LLC and its representatives are not registered as security broker-dealers or investment advisors, either with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or with any state securities regulatory authority. Please utilize a registered investment or financial advisor to make any financial decisions. If you choose to invest without seeking advice from such an advisor or entity, then any consequences resulting from your investments are your sole responsibility. By utilizing Hustle Class LLC and our content, you are indicating your consent and agreement to our disclaimer. Welcome to the Hustle Class Podcast. It is your boy Jermaine. I am back at it again with another one. I was going to drop, a podcast yesterday, Wednesday, but, I had family visit and, I was excited and I spent time with my family. Mental health matters, family matters, loved ones matter. So, I had to spend time with, my little sisters and, it was a great vibe. And, I still, as promised, I'm coming to you today with my Bitcoin projections, which when I talked with some people about it, they felt like my projections were rather outrageous. But I mean, who truly understands this new asset class? But we going to get into that whole bag in a little bit. Right now, we're about to get some words from the Hustle playlist. If you want access to this playlist, just reach out. So, today we have Grams in the Water by Black Soprano Family and Benny the Butcher. This is actually one of my favorite songs with Benny the Butcher because, he just goes off and the beat is just fire. I really like the beat as well. So in this song, the statement goes, it don't make money, it don't make sense. I'm still trying to make a play that I need my portion of the late rent. I need that Porsche with opaque tint. I'm learning patience. When you force it, then it don't make ends. So let's take it line by line, right? It don't make money, it don't make sense. I mean, that's such a common saying. I mean, people love to say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, right? Money makes sense. And so, if we're going to work on something, it might as well make us money. That's the hustler's mentality, right? I'm still trying to make a play that I need my portion of the late rent. One thing that a lot of people lack is urgency, the sense that you'll get it done later. You know what I'm saying? I'll get to it. I'm going to lose this amount of weight this year. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to, make this much money. I'm going to get to it. A lot of us push off life, to just deal with everyday stuff. And it's like, when you have a sense of urgency, like if you have your rent due at a certain time, you'll have a certain sense of urgency to get it done. If you know you're going to get kicked out of your apartment at a certain time, you'll have a certain sense of urgency. If you had a terminal illness, you would have a certain sense of urgency. But for some reason, because, our lives are, we sort of lose track of time a lot and, time flies. We sort of lose a sense of urgency in getting things done, not only from a money perspective, but just a life perspective. A lot of us have a lack of urgency. Just imagine what it is when, you have an exam to take and you have to study for it versus, you can turn it in at any time. You see, that's a different sense of urgency and vigor that you put into that work. Right. So that's kind of where I wanted to talk about. And then, I need that Porsche with opaque tints. That's just, a flex, right? He wants his whip with a tint. I'm learning patience. When you force it, then it don't make ends. And that's true. Patience is everything. I've learned that from a trading perspective. I've learned that from a flipping perspective. I've learned it from a investing perspective. Patience is everything, and time is your biggest asset in any of them. So once you let things run their courses, if you make the right decisions, things will just flow in your direction. So patience is everything. So don't be too forceful, right? Not saying that you shouldn't have like vigor and tenacity, but patience is, should be a part of you as well. In life, a lot of times as human beings, we like to look at things as being opposites or, us not being able to, how can I be patient but be You know, how can I execute I execute frequently, consistently at a high level, but be patient. Don't they contradict each other? No, they don't. Because you can execute and maintain a patient spirit where you understand the work that you're putting in. You might not see the ends of it, or the fruits might not, be born so quickly just because you executed quickly, even though sometimes it is. But the fact that things might not work out exactly your way, even though you are executing at a high level, there's a certain need of patience because things will execute in due time. So that was Grams in the Water, Black Soprano Family, and Benny the Butcher. Now we about to get into our spiel about crypto. So, and I mean, my price targets are my price targets. I've calculated them. How I've calculated them, I have the formula. You know what I'm saying? The formula, which I feel like is for success. But at the end of the day, I mean, what can I say? People are going to do what people are going to do. I'm not forcing anybody to abide by my standard by any means. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do. It is what it is. So, crypto, and specifically Bitcoin. I've talked about Bitcoin halving on this, and I'm looking at Bitcoin on a logarithmic scale, and it seems as though if Bitcoin maintains its consistent trend and its historical price action and price fluctuation by around May or June, I think it's May or June. Give me a second. May, June, July, August. So between May and August, I'm looking at Bitcoin. My price target is Bitcoin hitting anywhere between $400,000 and $500,000. $400,000 and $500,000 on this current bull run. Once it hits that $400,000 to $500,000 around 2024, we'll say January to June 2024, I foresee a correction to about 80 to 100K, somewhere in that region. So 80 to 100K. And yeah, that's where I see 80 to 100K is where I see the correction, where Bitcoin is going to settle at that price before the next halving, or around that price, around that 100K, 80K to 100K part. Now, people might ask themselves, Jermaine, how could you think that Bitcoin is going to hit $400,000 or $500,000? That sounds impossible. That sounds ridiculous. But a lot of people are basing that off of how they know, say, stocks to move, or how they know, how they know real estate prices to move, or whatever the case may be. This is a whole new asset class that is forming. We don't know how it works. There's phrases that with Bitcoin and things like that that go with decentralized and all these type of things that are newer, and we can't really conceptualize it. It's hard to understand, and you don't have to believe it, but when it's real, it's real. In 2016, July, Bitcoin was around $400. And that's July 2016. 2 years after that, closer to 2018, or maybe a year and a half after that, Bitcoin was around $20,000. So I might ask you, what does it take to go from 400 to 20,000? That's about 50 times the value. 20,000 is about 50 times the value of 400, right? 50 times the value. When Bitcoin started, its most recent run in 2020, it was around 9K, right? It was around 9K. And then when you look at where Bitcoin's high is projected to be, if you just take 9K and you multiply it by 50, you're going to get 450,000, right? It's only far-fetched if you're looking at the numbers, but sometimes you have to look at the statistics and the math. Not everything's just about numbers and what looks cool and what looks cute, because even to this day, people still don't understand the value of Bitcoin. They're like, well, Jermaine, there's no way I can buy one Bitcoin. Like, it's impossible to purchase. But you have to look at Bitcoin in Satoshis, meaning the fractions of Bitcoin. You don't look at Bitcoin as a whole coin. And eventually, where the world is going to head to, Bitcoin is going to be looked at in Satoshis, because the value of one Bitcoin is just going to be so astronomical that there's no point in calculating how much Bitcoin you have at such a fractional level. But, the same way we have nickels, dimes, quarters, and things like that to identify fractions of a dollar, there should be a certain criteria for Satoshis, which would be the fractions of Bitcoin, which will help us calculate our value at a much more human and real level. So that's just giving y'all a game real quick. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm not going over any of y'all heads. I hope y'all not like, dang, Jermaine, you a genius. I know I am, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to break it down real quick. So, like I was saying, price target of $400,000 to $500,000 in the summer of 2022. Then a correction from $400,000 to $500,000 to about $100,000, $90,000, or $80,000 in 2024, leading up to the next halving of Bitcoin, which will be in summer 2024. And when that halving occurs, we will enter our next bull run. Now, this is all, obviously pending that Bitcoin will continue its bull run. But, if the bull run comes to an end, you could throw my analysis out the door. But I feel like this is such a monumental asset class that's being created in cryptocurrencies that, I feel like we're going to go higher before we have to come lower and correct. And will we ever correct back down to no value? That possibility is there. One thing that I was doing research on is quantum computing, because if you have a quantum computer that is powerful enough, it can actually decrypt and decipher the intricacies that make cryptocurrency so valuable or decentralized. You know what I'm saying? How they say, oh, like your Bitcoin can't be hacked or the blockchain can't be X, Y, and Z. That's because we don't have the quantum capabilities to execute that yet. But if the time arrives and we actually have those quantum capabilities, Bitcoin might be null and void. Now, if Bitcoin over the time goes through a process where there is actually quantum support, then, that will work out the way it works out. Right? So, with all of that said, my price targets are my price targets, and, take it or leave it. Consult with the financial advisor. They might tell you I'm spewing nonsense. Who knows? Because nobody does when it comes to this crypto thing. But with what I said, 30,000, 40,000 is not a bad price to buy Bitcoin at. I'm definitely loading up the chopper. And, Bitcoin sort of is the driving force behind a lot of other cryptos and how their price action moves. By that, I mean, when we look at stocks and things like that, we like to always revert back to Dow Jones Industrial or SPY, SPY, the S&P 500, or QQQ, the NASDAQ, to sort of make sense of the general direction of all of the companies in the market. Bitcoin is that for crypto companies on a large scale. So if Bitcoin has those type of projections, that just gives you a perspective of what Dogecoin is going to look like, Litecoin is going to look like, Ethereum is going to look like, Binance Coin is going to look like, and all these other coins that exist across the spectrum. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying not to put all your eggs in one basket. I'm saying to consult with your financial advisor and get the right game on what you should do if you don't know. At the same time, I'm self-taught. I learned everything on my own. Not only do you have access to books to buy or to just get off the internet, you also have YouTube. You also have podcasts like this one. This is a thought-provoking and, a challenging podcast to listen to, because, you listen and you like, dang, like, I didn't know I could get so much game. but I'm giving it out free of charge. So, take it or leave it. If you actually join the Forever Slow Stroking group, you will have way more guidance and, more like a play by play. But right now you're getting his positions, potential positions, but the actual entries and things of that, what I'm saying? Buying Bitcoin at the perfect price on its trajectory towards those would be something that I would give to that group. You know what I'm saying? They pay for it, so they deserve it. But at least you get the projection. So yeah, we saying this Bitcoin to the moon until the trajectory of Bitcoin changes, which I would say it's hard to see that happening. This is a lot of people's first time in crypto. So when they hear stuff like Nigeria bans Bitcoin, China bans Bitcoin, India bans Bitcoin, they're like, oh my gosh, this is not going to last. Until you realize that the same tabloids that these countries are banning Bitcoin is the same thing that's been said over the course of time. China bans Bitcoin in 2016. China bans Bitcoin in 2018. China bans Bitcoin in 2020. China bans Bitcoin in 2021. If you're going to let that stop you from buying Bitcoin, I'm sorry. You're going to see the news story again year after year, and the price just going to keep going up and up. I can't make it up. Do your research, learn your history. So, you know what I'm saying? Those are my price targets. So I'm active when it comes to Bitcoin. I see it, and I'm looking at it from a logarithmic level, so you can see a lot of the trends. You can see the trend of the chart and ignore the prices because the trend is the trend. When I drew my lines and I did my calculations, I was not looking for a fixed number. I was basing it off of the trend and the price action and the logarithmic scale. That's it. And the prices I got are the prices I got. So it sounds unrealistic, but the chart makes sense. If you were looking at Tesla, it might have seemed unrealistic for it to hit the price it hit. But if you were following the chart, you might have saw it coming just based on price action alone and volume and other things like that. So, yeah, that's the spiel on Bitcoin. That's my 2 cents. I don't think I have anything else to talk about today besides, Memorial Day weekend, shout out to the fallen. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the service of all those who are still in the grind, protecting and serving the country, because not to get political, but as much as, people don't like war and all that, it's a part of this world. And, if you've seen war, if you've seen struggle, that the people involved at a lower level, a lot of them, not that I don't want to put nothing in nobody's ear that nobody wants to be there, but it's a tough, it's a tough environment to be in. Not that I've been in it, but I've done my research, and when you do research, you see just how gruesome a lot of these things can be. And what I'm saying, there's a certain level of appreciation for what is in this life by me. I'll try not to look at things as being good or bad, but just look at things as existing. Things just are. People say things are good or bad. I say things just are. Depends on what side of the coin you're at. But shout out to the people who put their lives on the line for other people. That's a selfless act. So shout out to those who are selfless in this world, man. So I think crypto is going to continue its bull run. It might have some staccato, like some scatterings. But in 2012, Bitcoin hit a high, had like a 50% correction or like an 80% correction, and then, went crazy. And I think it did it times 100. That's back in 2012. So, yeah, keep your eyes on the prize, y'all. I appreciate y'all for listening, and I'll be back next week with more gems. Let's get it.